I knew something was wrong the second my key wouldn't fit my own front door. At first I thought I had the wrong key in my hand. Then I noticed the brand new lock shining in the afternoon sun. That's when my son opened the door just enough to look at me and said, "Dad, you don't need this house anymore." My stomach dropped so fast I thought I was going to fall. Everything I had worked for, everything my late wife and I built together, was suddenly being taken away from me. Before I tell you what happened next, if stories about family betrayal and impossible choices mean something to you, subscribe to Family Betrayal. And one quick thing, the faces, homes, and scenes you see in this video are only visual representations to help tell the story. They aren't actual recordings of the people involved. My name is Daniel. I'm 68 years old, retired, and until that day, I believed my son Tyler would always protect me the way I had protected him. After my wife Emily passed away from cancer 3 years earlier, Tyler started visiting more often. At first I thought he was checking on me because he cared. He brought groceries, helped with bills, and insisted I stop worrying about paperwork. Looking back now, every act of kindness had a hidden price. He convinced me to let him help manage my finances because I wasn't good with computers. He collected my mail before I could read it. Whenever I asked questions, he'd laugh and tell me I worried too much. I wanted to believe him. One evening he said, "Dad, if anything ever happens to you, probate will be a nightmare. Let's organize everything now." It sounded responsible, so I signed a few documents at his lawyer's office without reading every page. I trusted my own son more than anyone. The day I found the new locks, he stood inside my living room while I remained on the porch like a stranger. "You should stay somewhere else," he said calmly. "What are you talking about? This is my home." He looked away before saying something that still echoes in my head. "Not anymore." I stared at him, wondering if I had somehow walked into someone else's nightmare. Then a sheriff's deputy pulled into my driveway, and I realized things were about to get even worse. The sheriff's deputy stepped out of his vehicle holding a stack of papers. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear him introduce himself. Tyler stood behind the screen door with his arms crossed, looking strangely confident. I kept waiting for him to smile and admit this was all some terrible misunderstanding. He never did. The deputy looked at me with sympathy. "Sir, your son says he has legal possession of the property. He asked us to keep the peace." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Legal possession. I bought this house 35 years ago. My wife and I paid every mortgage payment together. Tyler finally spoke. "Dad, you signed everything months ago. The house is mine now. You agreed to it." My knees almost gave out. The papers, the ones I signed without reading, suddenly came rushing back into my mind. I remembered Tyler telling me they were only estate planning documents. Had I really signed my own home away? The deputy quietly told me this was a civil matter and that I should speak with an attorney immediately. He couldn't force Tyler to let me inside without a court order. Hearing those words felt like losing my wife all over again. I walked away carrying nothing except the clothes I was wearing and my truck keys. That night I slept in a cheap motel. I couldn't eat. I couldn't stop replaying every conversation I'd had with Tyler over the last year. Every favor, every smile, every promise suddenly looked different. The next morning I called an attorney recommended by an old friend. After listening carefully, she asked one question that stopped me cold. "Mr. Carter, did anyone explain those documents before you signed them?" "No." "Did your son ever encourage you to get your own lawyer?" "No." She became very quiet. Then she leaned forward and said, "I think your son may have a much bigger problem than you do." For the first time in days, I felt a tiny spark of hope. But before we could make a move, my attorney uncovered something hidden inside those documents, something Tyler never expected anyone to find. And when she showed it to me, I realized my son hadn't just betrayed me. He had made a mistake that could cost him everything. My attorney spread every document across her conference table. I expected her to tell me there was nothing we could do. Instead, she pointed to one signature page and asked, "Did you ever see this version before today?" I shook my head. The page looked familiar, but several paragraphs were completely different from what I remembered. Then she showed me something I never would have noticed myself. The dates on the paperwork didn't match. One document had supposedly been signed on a day I was over 200 miles away attending my brother's funeral. She looked me in the eyes and said, "This could be evidence that the paperwork was altered or improperly executed." For the first time since standing outside my own locked front door, I felt anger stronger than sadness. My attorney immediately filed an emergency request with the court and gathered bank records, security camera footage from the lawyer's office, phone records, and witnesses who could confirm where I had been. Every new piece of evidence made Tyler's story weaker. A week later, I drove past my house. Through the window I saw Tyler laughing with a couple of friends, acting like he had already won. Seeing him smile inside the home his mother loved nearly broke me. Let me ask you something. If your own child betrayed your trust like this, could you ever forgive them? The hearing arrived faster than I expected. Tyler walked into the courtroom looking calm, almost proud. He barely looked at me. His attorney argued that I had willingly transferred the house. Then my attorney stood up. She presented the timeline, the conflicting documents, and the evidence showing serious problems with how the transfer had happened. The judge's expression changed with every page. He paused the hearing and issued an emergency order preventing Tyler from selling, refinancing, or transferring the property until the case was fully resolved. Tyler's confident smile disappeared for the first time. A month later, the final hearing began. Tyler still believed he could walk away with everything. But he had no idea that before the day was over, the sheriff would return to my house with a new court order. And this time, he wouldn't be there for me. He would be there for my son.